Hello BookTube, my name is Elizabeth and welcome back to the Owlery. Today I'm going to be bringing you my mid-June wrap-up. So I've been doing a lot of things in June. I was traveling to Cocoa Beach for a book event with my friends Chloe and Kat, and then my little brother Daniel stayed with me for a week because it is his summer break from school. So I've been really busy in the beginning of June, but I was still able to get a bunch of books read, so I'm super excited about that. Let's just go ahead and get started. The first one is Cirque du Freak Volume 10 by Darren Shan. This is the manga version of this series. Now, this series, the Cirque du Freak series in general, I've been reading since I was in like middle school. I read the entire book series, and then when I started getting into BookTube, I found out about the manga, and I was like, I have to try that out because it's one of my favorite series of all time. I think it's just for me, it's like that nostalgia. Like, I've been reading it for so long, so I enjoy it a lot. But it's basically a middle grade series. The books and the manga are both good for middle grade readers. So the main character, Darren, and his friend, they're really obsessed with this like Cirque du Freak like circus show that is coming to their town in the middle of the night, and they find out about it from like this shady guy, and they go and they realize that one of the people in the Cirque du Freak show is a real vampire, and he has this like special spider, and they get kind of like obsessed with this special spider, and they go and break into the circus one night to steal it, and the best friend gets bitten, and in order to save his life, Darren says, I'll do anything, just save my friend's life, and the vampire's like, well, you need to become my apprentice. And so basically it's about Darren being kind of like a half vampire, half human, while he makes like a full transition to being a vampire in this series. And you know, the entire like 10 books is just about him being the vampire's apprentice and his journey and what he goes through, and he goes through trials, and it's just a really interesting, really great story for any middle grade reader. They're really easy reads, they're super interesting. Don't watch the movie, it was horrendous, but the book series was amazing and I just love it. Like I said, it's just one of those nostalgia books that I'm probably going to be rereading for a while. Next, I read Silencing Sharks by John Hope. This is a middle grade novel. It's written like a young adult, but I think middle grade and young adult readers can enjoy this just alike. I really love that this is set in Tampa Bay, which is right across the water from St. Petersburg, where I live. He really brought the entire like area to life. I really enjoyed that. This is about our main character, Peter. He is a boy and he is deaf. And he finds out one day when he goes swimming that he can hear sharks underneath the water. So he's deaf above the water, but he can hear things underneath the water. And he makes friends with these sharks. And he finds out that there are these fishermen who are illegally cutting off the fins of sharks in Tampa Bay. And he makes it his mission to find out who it is and stop them. And I loved this. Now, I did have a couple problems with the way that some of the sign language was translated into English in this story. I just don't think that it was kind of frustrating to read, and it didn't really show how beautiful of a language sign language is. I just didn't enjoy that specific aspect of it, but once you can get over how it's translated, it's not so bad. This story was also so well researched. I mean, basic knowledge about sharks, but I learned so much in this story without it feeling like an encyclopedia. It was really interesting. I loved that there were so many different types of sharks, and they all had their own personalities, and how John Hope even explains how Peter can communicate with the sharks in a certain way, and it was just so very interesting. I'm working with John this month to promote Silencing Sharks, but just know that all opinions are my own. I read this and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75 out of 5 stars. Like I said, this book is perfect for middle grade readers. If you guys would like to win a copy of this book and a copy of the Silencing Sharks card game that John sent me, which I tried out and it is a lot of fun, I have a giveaway in the description below for you guys to win for my subscribers. If you are already subscribed to my channel, you already have a free entry, so definitely go and check out that link down below to try to win yourself a copy. You can give it to your little brother or sister or one of your kids. I think this is perfect summer reading. Since it takes place right next to the ocean, it feels very summery, and I just really enjoyed this. Thank you so much to John for working with me on this book, and definitely again check out the link in the description to try to win yourself a copy of Silencing Sharks. After that, I read Ruined and Avenged by Amy Tintera. This is a young adult fantasy story, and when we come into the beginning of Ruined, we find out that our main character is the daughter of the king, and their country had been taken over, and basically all of the ruined people, they have these special abilities, all of the ruined were almost completely eradicated. They were murdered, and basically our main character and a bunch of people from the country who made it out alive are trying to take their country back. And I really enjoyed this story. I loved that there was romance, but it was like most of the time it just wasn't at the forefront of any of the main characters' minds because they were in the middle of a war basically, and so it was really enjoyable. It was just the right amount of romance without having it being shoved down your throat, and it was definitely not insta love or anything like that. I love the world that Amy Tintera built. The descriptive writing was beautiful. I thought that it was paced very, very well. I really don't have many complaints about this story. It's been about a week or two since I've read both of these stories, and I read them back to back, and the only thing I can say is that it was a bit forgettable. I had to read the synopsis and my review again to kind of remember, and it's only been a couple of weeks. So while I was in the middle of reading both of these books, I mean, I rated them both 4 out of 5 stars. So while I was reading them, I loved them, and I enjoyed everything about them, and there really wasn't any complaints that I had about this story, but it's only been 2 weeks since I read them, and they're a little bit forgettable. So, I mean, they were really quick reads. I can't talk today. And it was just a really simple book to get through. Usually fantasy is really heavy and really like info dumpy, and these books definitely were not any of those things. It's a great, I believe this is a duology, and I just overall really enjoyed it. And the last book that I read over the last couple of weeks is The Traitor's Kiss by Erin Beatty, and I loved this story, you guys. So basically this is about a girl, and both of her parents have died, and so she's living with her uncle, who is one of like, this is a young adult fantasy, so he's like some sort of aristocrat. I don't know what he is, like a duke or something. Anyway, and she's living with her uncle, and he is trying to get her married off, and in this world they have a matchmaker. A matchmaker always pairs up people to get married, and so she goes to the appointment with the matchmaker, and the matchmaker says, you're unmarriable, basically. No one wants to marry you. I can't match you with anybody, so blah. You just can't get married to anybody. But instead of marrying her off to somebody, she offers her a position as the matchmaker's apprentice. And one of her first assignments is to spy on some military guards to find out if they would be good matches for the girls that the matchmaker has, and that kind of like makes her fall into this like spy game with the matchmaker and with the army, and it was just, it's so hard to explain because it's a bit detailed, but it was so interesting. I loved the characters, I loved the world. The whole matchmaking idea was really unique. I've never read a fantasy with that in it and with that aspect in it, so I really enjoyed that. And then of course there was a lot of spying and espionage going on within the guards and our main character and the matchmaker, and so it was a little confusing, but it just made the book exciting. I had to kind of like keep reminding myself who was who because they had code names, and it was a little confusing, but still it made the book really, really fun to read, and all of the characters were super interesting. Even the side characters had life, and they were unique, and they were funny, and I loved all of them. I don't know why I loved this book so much. I've been pretty disappointed with fantasy books in 2017, and this one really, really surprised me. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. But that's everything that I've read in the beginning of June. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did and you want to check out another one of my videos, you can click here, or if you really liked the content that you're seeing and you would like to subscribe, you can click my face, which should be over here somewhere, and make sure to check all of the links down in the description below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!